this is Overlord Bo back with another ship review with SAT score, and today we'll be going over the Mainz. We wanted to cover some of the older premiums that we often recommend to our viewers and community members. So we'll be doing these from time to time, since a lot of these older prems, their vids are a little out of date, and with the ever-changing environment of the game, it's best to update these from time to time. So let's get started. So you can currently get the Mainz for 11,300 doubloons. Since the ship is in the armory, you can use the doubloon coupon, which lowers the price to about 8,500 doubloons. Now, we would recommend the Mainz as a tier 8 cruiser, and in this video we'll explain why. Now for the build and ship upgrades. Now both of these will be shown on the top right, and for the Mainz build, we would recommend more of a survivability and farming build since the main does not have a heal. It is important to make sure you get the extra health from where you can. You can also build more into HE damage if you would like, but it would be more recommended for higher skill players. And you can build it as the same as a Hindenburg if you like, but we would highly recommend you put Lucians on it, since it has the talent of main battery reload, which will decrease the reload time after 140 hits. Now let's talk about the armor and survivability. On the top right, a model of her armor layout will be shown. It has a 25mm bow/stern side armor with 40mm icebreaker bow. It also has a 27mm deck with 42,500 HP pool. Now she does have an above average HP pool, similar armor layout to a Hipper and a Eugene, or Prince Eugen, sorry about that, and it's a slightly above water citadel. Overall, it has good survivability due to her similar defensive characteristics to the Admiral Hipper. She is somewhat susceptible to long range plunging shots, so take care when showing broadside. For the main armament, she has 12 152/60 guns, 2 in the front and 2 in the rear. Now these guns have a 17.5 kilometer range with a 6-second base reload. Now the turret traverse is with 180 degrees is 23.7 seconds, and you can fire off the bow with 38 degrees and off the stern with 39 degrees. The HE shell damage is 1700 with a 38mm HP pen and 8% fire chance, and you do have a 204k HE DPM. Now for AP, the damage is 3,900 with 10mm overmatch with a 45-60 ricochet angle, and it has a 468k AP DPM. Now the shell ballistics are about average, similar to the IGN 203mm guns. You do have mediocre firing angles, but it does have amazing HE DPM with the excellent 38mm HE pen that's from the German German HE. It has the highest theoretical AP DPM, but much worse pen in practice due to her poor pen. Now the Mainz dispersion will be shown on the top right here. As we keep on going, Mainz easily has the best firepower of any cruiser at her tier. The combination of fast reloading guns, respectable fire chance, and the 38mm HE pen gives her amazing practical damage output on all but the most heavily armored battleships. Her AP is also effective against broadside ships, but quickly loses damage due to their weak penetration. It is not recommended to use the AP past 10 kilometers unless shooting into the superstructure. As long as you keep her safe, Mainz will quickly tear down even the sturdiest of opponents. Now let's talk about the torpedoes. The torpedoes, you get 4 quad launcher 53mm torpedoes that do 13,700 damage. These have a range of 6 kilometer range, and they go 64 knots with a 90-second reload. They are very difficult to spot. Like the other German cruisers, Mainz torps are purely for point-blank knife fighting. Such fights are likely one-way trips for the Mainz, but 8 torps per side ensures anyone she fights will also go down with her. Now let's go into the anti-air defense. You get 5 plus 1 flak puffs. The far DPS is 119, the mid is 318, and the near is 147. The Mainz AA is surprisingly good for a German ship, actually on par with the other tier 8 United States cruisers. She will still struggle against tier 10 CVs, but at least she can put up a fight against tier 8s. Now let's move on to the depth charges. For the depth charges, you can get 2 charges with 6 bombs per charge, and they do 2,200 damage each, with a fire chance of 9% and flood chance of 26%, and a reload of 40 seconds. For it being a light cruiser, you do not get the airdrops, so it makes it more difficult to hit submarines that are further away. But with the upcoming patch in 11.4, depth charges are getting a radius buff, so thank God for that. Now for the maneuverability, she has a max speed of 32 knots and a 740 meter turning radius with a 10.5 second rudder shift time. Now she does have a slow top speed but has a good turning radius, but does suffer from a poor rudder shift time. The Mainz has mediocre overall maneuverability, only compensated by her turning radius. Both repositioning and evading shells will be more difficult for her. For her concealment, the surface detection base and aerial base is 15.3 kilometers and 7.5 kilometers. But if you build into concealment, you get a 12 kilometer surface detection and a 6.1 air detection. Poor overall, but an acceptable trade-off given her immense firepower. Island use, allied smoke use, and other methods of getting close is important to maximize her firepower. Now let's move on to her consumables. She has a standard cruiser damage control party with a 5-second immunity period with a 60-second reload. Now you can either choose from getting a German hydroacoustic search or defensive AA. For the German hydroacoustics, you get 3 base charges with 4 with superattendant, and they have a surface 6 kilometer surface detection for ships and a 4 kilometer torpedo detection with 120 second active time and 120 second reload time. The defensive AA fire has 3 base charges with the 4 with the superintendent plus 50% continuous AA plus 300% flak damage with a 40 second active time and an 80 second reload time. Now for the catapult fighter planes, you get 3 base charges, 4 with superintendent, and you get since you have 3 fighters per charge, you can shoot down 3 potential attacking planes or fighters that are in the area. They have a 60-second duration and a 90-second reload. It's a standard German cruiser loadout with enhanced hydro. Now for the overall impressions with SAT score.
Alright. So, summarizing what Bo said, basically the guns are very good. The torpedoes are a useful niche. Her maneuverability not terribly good. Her HP is fine. Her AA is surprisingly good. And maneuverability is not very good. And concealment also kind of on the bottom of the list. So overall, Mainz actually ends up being a very solid light cruiser. She's fairly easy to play and doesn't require too much to master her. You're mostly concerned about getting used to her ballistics. So I consider her one of the best damage farmer ships in the game, having firepower comparable and even surpassing many tier 9 cruisers. A well-played Mainz can easily farm down even the sturdiest ships with shocking efficiency. Her defense, I consider it relatively adequate, but she does sometimes suffer from that poor maneuverability, making it harder to dodge battleship shots. Her detection is also kind of a problem because you cannot get close with it. If you need to get close and say like hit a destroyer, then you have to wait towards mid or late game where it's easier for you to approach. At these, more players are aware of her capabilities, so you have to be careful of battleships and other ships trying to focus you out, because they know if they leave you alive for too long, then you will just completely farm them down. To get around this, you want to use islands to your advantage, ask for allied smokescreen, do whatever it takes to conserve your HP. The later, if you're able to farm out enough damage, you can easily turn the tides and potentially win you the game, even if you cannot make the decisive plays that some other ships are known for. In randoms, I would consider her a very excellent ship, because you generally have more time to farm damage. Especially if you're on the kiting flank, enemies that are pushing into you are easier to hit, and they'll start taking a lot of damage. French battleships, British battleships, for example, you can pen them everywhere, so they are very good, very juicy targets. On the other hand, I would not consider Mainz to be a good ranked ship. Although she's still a very good farming ship, fights tend to be over a little bit faster, and she doesn't have that utility that other ships may have in order to fight destroyers. She can also struggle to get close, further impacting her effectiveness against destroyers. And destroyers is what wins games, and unfortunately Mainz isn't as capable as other cruisers against them, at least not without support. So, Bo, do you have any tips and tricks for playing the Mainz?
So a few tricks and tips I would give for the Mainz is that the Mainz, you want to play as a heavy kiting cruiser. You don't want to be going too far in. You want to make sure you have a DD in front of you for spotting you. So if you want to play it in a div, make sure you have a DD player with you so that you're able to have the spotting on the battleships, cruisers that you're able to farm and get the credits. Another tip that I would give while playing the Mainz is being able to read situations fully. So for instance, when you're seeing a lot of people coming at you, make sure you're angled away from them, which means showing your stern to them and having your bow pointed away. So that means you're able to kite away from them and farm them effectively. Now the best way to efficiently farm with this ship is when you get one fire on one ship, you then you aim at a different ship and get a fire on another. And if someone DCPs, you then aim back at them and set another to get a perma-fire so you can keep farming damage over and over time. This will rack up a lot of damage, which will then turn into a lot of credits. Now the Mainz, whenever I play this, I do put the credit flags on, so I'm able to get as much credits as possible. As you'll see later and during the scores, you'll see how much credits I earn, but this ship can be a very good credit farming ship as well as just being a very strong farming cruiser. Again, you can get the Mainz for 11,300 doubloons or for about 8,500 doubloons with a coupon. Now, to me, in SAT score, she's one of the best damage farming farmers in the game, having firepower surpassing even many tier 9 cruisers. A well-played Mainz can farm down most ships with shocking efficiency, and her defense is also decent enough as she shares the same hull as the Hipper. Now, as you're able to see throughout most of the match, I was both in a kiting position during most of this match, farming down targets, while my teammates were able to spot and help provide targets for me. We were able to coordinate our fire. In the end, as you can see, it's 8-5. We had a very good job in this match. But as you're about to see, I get a little bit too aggressive and I kind of blow up. And as you can see, I'm already at super low health. So for me to do that, it's kind of end of the game. It's kind of the reason why I did it, because it's about over. Now, with the game being done, and since I'm now dead, let's go look at the scoreboard and see how I did. So for the final score, I did 130k damage with 12 fires and 3 kills. It's very nice, including the sub kill, also with being top of the team with 2,345 base XP, which was pretty well for this match overall. But yep, that will be about it. If you guys have any questions or concerns, definitely know in the comments down below. I do enjoy reading them and answering them. But yep, this is Overlord Bo and SAT score, and I will talk to y'all later. Oh, big stretch, dude. Oh, big stretch, yeah.